They said a picture says 1,000. Hi guys, how we are doing? Today we're going to be joined by one of our viewers. Yes, her name is Yanique.
Hi guys.
Hi, how's she doing? Alright. What that is that she's a final year finance student, and just like everybody else, we're trying to say exactly what is happening with the Jamaican dollar versus our US dollar. Of interest, I was saying right here now that there was a time when the US dollar to the Jamaican dollar was 77 cents, which means that the Jamaican dollar had more value to one US dollar. Check this out. We are now approaching 1 US dollar to the equivalent of 150 Jamaican dollar. 1 US, approximately J dollar, 150. Does this, it look real? It is, but it's a simple process. Or if we flip the inverse, we'll roughly say that 1 J dollar is approximately 0.006, call it 8 US cents. Don't try to picture that. Just don't try to picture that. It is so minute that don't picture it. So keep this one in mind. This one is easily understood. This is the one that is on the news. This is the one that we are all familiar with when we talk about this one. And as a matter of fact, let us understand something. There's a difference between buying rate and the selling rate. So typically, it is the selling rate that is quoted. Selling rate. So if you ever walk inside the bank or you hear on the newscast that today the Jamaican dollar is 148, 150, it is that when you go to purchase it, when you take your Jamaican to the bank and to buy that from the bank, you'd have to give the bank roughly 150 Jamaican to walk away with $1 US, right? And if you were to sell into the bank, you would be talking about probably about 130, right? So the difference between the 150 and the 130 is pretty much what we call the spread, because the institution, the bank, the cambio, they have to make what is known as some form of gains from it. Because remember, from that spread, they would have to pay staff, they would have to pay rent, they would have to pay transportation costs, because carrying the money, shipping the money, shipping costs. So all of those things are part and parcel that would form part of the difference of the $20 that they call the spread. So it's not all this $20 spread will be profit to the bank. So sometimes our same Jamaicans say, boy, the bank, them TV, they might take it from me for 130, selling it back for 150. But there's a lot of costs that make up this 150 versus the 130. So remember, this is typically what we refer to as the selling, and this is typically what we refer to as the bank buying from you. So this is you buying US from the bank, and this is the bank. This is the bank taking the US from you and to give you the Jamaican equivalent. So that being said, we're back to the point where we say, look, the weight of the US dollar is carrying down the value of the Jamaican dollar, which means that our dollar keeps constantly getting weaker and weaker and weaker. Can you imagine the situation now where it reached? Just for argument's sake, 1 JA to 200. You can't even imagine what this figure would be now. Right? Alright. So what we want to do today is for it not to reach here. 1 US. We don't want it to reach here. So Yanique, back to your question now.
Yes, so You're saying that we don't want it to reach the $200, right?
No.
How can we stop this?
Well, presently, during COVID right now, it is interesting to note that the IMF, through its relief program, has approved $520 million to the central bank, to the Jamaican government. Now, that is money that is there for emergency purpose that clearly even assist with COVID and some of the things coming out of that. So, if needs be, the government have that, they have the reserves, they have other things that they can use to intervene in the market, because the only thing that causes foreign currency to move is what they call the demand and supply, right? So in demand right now is the need for foreign currency, because everything that comes here is imported and we have to use foreign currency to pay for it, right? So we are under production right now. There is no tourism, there is no mining really, there is no entertainment, there is pretty little and nothing. There's rarely any export, so there's pretty little or anything to generate foreign currency to give us that supply that can satisfy demand. And we have always had a high demand because we don't make US here, it is Jamaica. And from time to time you might have US dollar instrument maturing that you need to buy US dollar to pay back the investors. And you will also have investors, borrowers too, that have US dollar loans. And because the rate on the Jamaican dollar was so low, then that what they would probably want to do is to pay out the US dollar loan and take the Jamaican dollar loan on the cheaper side. So those things are all how the US dollar is consumed by us in Jamaica. Yeah.
Okay, but then how can we stop it from reaching there?
Well, we have to produce. That is one. And by producing, it means that you see, one other thing about this whole thing about is sometimes people can speculate and say, oh, the dollar now is going to go to 200, let us buy it up. But what we need to do as a country and as patriots is to don't take what we don't need during this time. Let us let the manufacturers get what they need to manufacture things that it will be cheaper. Because what we're going to find out is that the JPS has just had a proposal that they're going to increase light bill. But you have to remember, every time there's an increase in light bill, it's going to increase the US dollar. Because what's going to happen? You're going to still need more of it. And what will happen is that an increase in electricity automatically fuel other price increase. Because pretty much everything that we manufacture, everything that we produce runs off electricity. So you're going to find that connection, right? That connection between a rising price and a rise in electricity.
Okay, so the other day, the Bank of Jamaica dumped, should I say dumped?
Yeah, you can use anything.
30 million US into the economy.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well,
think it would help?
Yes, part of the BOJ strategy from time to time is what is known as intervening in the market, because there is so much demand for US dollar that if they don't intervene to supply, then there's going to be more pressure. So what the BOJ will constantly try to do, or when they see they intervene or put money in there, is to try and dampen the pressure on the Jamaican dollar. So that is one of the strategies that the Bank of Jamaica use, right? Interestingly, in the same breath, the governor the other day said that they are trying not to make the banks, the financial institutions, pay out dividends. And for us, at least Know Your Money Matters, we believe that that was one of the strategies to avoid the weakening of the Jamaican dollar again. So we will not have those Jamaican dollars floating in the marketplace to buy up US dollars. So we thought it was a good strategy at the time for sure. So things are being done to prevent. But guess what? We don't produce US dollars, and we are not producing enough. And we are constantly have an appetite for imports. And imports can only be paid for by US dollars or some other currency. But I said, remember, our favorite exchange is the US dollar to the Jamaican dollars. So as a student of finance and knowing what you know about foreign currency, what do you believe you can say to fellow Jamaicans to kind of stop this downward pressure on our Jamaican dollar? Because remember, there was a time when our Jamaican dollar valued more than $1 US.
Well, personally, what I think right now we could do is eat what we grow and grow what we eat, and stop importing so much things. Seeing that the value of the dollar is so it depends on how much we import. Imports support the value of our dollar right now, and we're importing a lot, so why not just try to cut that down?
Because again, there is a great imbalance between demand and supply. We have a very big appetite to be importing things. We do not have sufficient earnings to back it up. And that is why we will constantly have fluctuations. And you will always have fluctuation, but what we don't want is a constant downward pressure on our Jamaican dollar. But we're going to have it. We're going to have that constant fluctuation. That's pretty much how it works, because as I said, we don't make foreign currency. We actually earn foreign currency from like tourism.
Yeah, but right now, that's not happening.
Yeah, that is not happening, but we have two tools at hand right now that we were given a lifeline with. The emergency $520 million from the IMF Emergency Relief Fund, and also we still have our international reserve that we can pull from and put in the market. This really is to satisfy like the manufacturers, because everything that comes as raw material for the use during this COVID period, for argument's sake, the manufacturers have needed to put into production so we can get things going. Yeah. So that is pretty much where I think we can look at. So just to make it clear, our most popular Jamaican dollar exchange rate is the US dollar. We can't run from that. It's the most popular currency that we trade with. There was a time when the US dollar was below. The US dollar was below the Jamaican dollar. The Jamaican dollar was sitting on top of the US. Alright? There was a time. And we can we get back here? It would be quite a stretch. It would be quite a stretch to imagine that it will happen. But miracles do happen. So we have to keep hope that what we try to do is keep pegging it and pegging. Yeah, so as we look towards to say we would like to see a time comes where the Jamaican dollar will gain some amount of ground on the US dollar. But something that is key that we have to remember, Yanique, is that remittance plays a very critical role in our US Jamaican dollar transactions. And with the fall off and what is happening globally, we have less remittance. So yeah, we have less remittance. So it is not only tourism and entertainment money that has fallen off, but also the remittance. And once the market opens up and we start to get back this level of remittance, and we start to do some amount of export, even if the dollar continue to move, it will not be seen a depreciation rate, no, like what will happen down the road. But remember, the funny thing again is that by the time we get out of June, persons start to prepare again for Christmas, where they have to be buying US again to send away to buy goods for Christmas. So during the July, August, thereabout again, where people going on vacation, the US dollar would normally move up. This time around, we don't think there's going to be a lot of movement there because of social distancing, right? So US dollar reasons for purchasing it now is not the same that it was like last year and the year before, because very few people will be vacationing, they more will be staycationing here, right? Because of the whole social distance thing.
So, see, the US is not in a recession right now, but they're looking towards that. You think that would have an impact on the dollar? When they do fall into a recession?
Technically, they are in recession. You know? Technically, they are in recession because the businesses go down, their stock market went down, pretty much like our market went down, but our market going to see a gradual pickup just to see the US market start to see its pickup. Earnings on the US dollar side they are coming out. The lows, those things are beating earnings. So I would not say the US is in recession to the point where it's going to be having a devastating impact. When a country like the US have recession, it does affect our economy, particularly because we have like about 70% of our remittance, for argument's sake, is from the US. So those persons would not have the strength of cash then to be sending on a regular basis. So it would have an impact on our foreign currency side of the business. A very good point. Very good point. Can see you're a good student of finance. Yes. So we're going to wrap up this session. If there is anything that we think viewers and subscribers would like to know about more things about your foreign currency and understanding why our Jamaican dollar is moving south, why the pressure is on it because of the US dollar, just try to remember where we were at a point in time. Try to remember our needs. Try to remember who need the US dollars the most. And we can ride the wave. We can ride the wave because things are going to pick up. We're going to come back up. So we can ride the wave. We definitely can ride the wave. So for your comments, just send me a note on
Know Your Money Matters. Guys, I'm not only just a viewer here, but I'm also his student. He's not in a physical classroom, but any question I have, I always bring it to him. So don't be afraid to send in what you'd like to know or learn, because he's always willing to answer and help and share his knowledge. Alright? So like, share,
subscribe,
and comment.
see you.